Okay, guys, so in this video, we're going to talk about coronavirus stock buying opportunities, in particular, a stock called Johnson& Johnson with the ticker symbol JNJ that trades on the New York Stock Exchange. So this, guys, I want to quickly tell you about this company, Johnson& Johnson. They've been around for a very long time. The company is well over 100 years old. I believe it was founded in 1886. It's currently trading at a market cap of $350 billion with a 3% dividend yield and a price to earnings ratio around 22. So one of the reasons I wanted to tell you guys about this stock is because, as you can see with the coronavirus going on and the huge volatility in the stock market, this has created, I think, an opportunity for certain companies, mostly important consumer staples and basic need companies. And some of these companies will actually outperform their future earnings reports simply because when something like this happens, people are looking for different types of products. So first I want to show you guys a long-term stock chart of Johnson & Johnson, and it's actually pretty awesome stock chart if you take a look at it. So over the long term, Johnson & Johnson stock has really outperformed the market. So, if I had bought shares when I was born in 86, somehow my parents or someone like that had given me a couple Johnson & Johnson shares, I'd be pretty well off right now. As you can see, the stock has run up all the way from, it looks like, kind of a long-term support of around $9. And since the 90s, it's all the way to about $134. But the nice thing about Johnson & Johnson is that the stock also pays a dividend as well, so you would have had a lot more shares if you had reinvested. So let's just kind of take a look at the latest one-year chart. And I have a lot of interesting things to say about Johnson & Johnson, so I want to include plenty of information in this video. So as you can see, the stock was running up pretty well, almost going up to about 160. It looks like it was going. Of course, the coronavirus fears and everything came out, and the stock literally tanked all the way down to about $125. Now it's kind of found some little bit of support since we saw recently a huge market uptick. So let's talk about some of the things, reasons why I like Johnson & Johnson. So let's talk about some of the latest news articles. This one's a really important one. So there's an article just posted on Seeking Alpha that talks about Johnson & Johnson launches coronavirus vaccine program. So Johnson & Johnson unit, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, is collaborating with Boston Best, Israel Deaconess Medical Center on the development of preventive vaccine against coronavirus. Preclinical testing is underway. The parties expect to identify a candidate by month and then commence a phase 1 study by year end. So guys, they're already working on a vaccine, and a lot of these pharmaceutical companies, Johnson & Johnson in particular is kind of a conglomerate, but a lot of their pharmaceutical units are going to be working with different hospitals and medical centers and things like that, and doctors to come up with a vaccine so they can do something to basically try to curb this virus. And then I want to show you guys an interesting article here posted within the last day. You can find all these articles by just typing in Johnson & Johnson news. It says Johnson & Johnson ramps up Tylenol production as demand surges. So Johnson & Johnson seen a spike in demand for Tylenol, over-the-counter painkiller, and other self-care products as the global spread of coronavirus prompts people to stock up on the essentials. The company, which also makes Band-Aid, Listerine, mouthwash, said it was shipping its stock in a controlled manner that its manufacturing sites have ramped up production. J&J did not anticipate a shortage of Tylenol, a common used drug for headache and fever, even though the drug may have temporarily run out of stock. So it says fears of the shortage of some drugs emerged as coronavirus outbreak wreaked havoc on supply chains were amplified last week after India, the world's main supplier of generic drugs, restricted the export of some ingredients as medicines, including paracetamol, known as Tylenol, in the United States. So it looks like these companies, when they're selling things like over-the-counter pain relievers and hand sanitizers, basically essentials that people are going to start stocking up on, they're going to see a huge spike in demand. So let's also take a look at some of what it also said. It says Kroger placed a limited number of cold, flu, and sanitary products, while Walgreens said it was limiting disinfectant, wipe cleaner, face masks, hand sanitizers, thermometers, and gloves to 4 per each customer. Surge in these products because people are just looking to stock up on these things in case they need them in the future and they won't be able to purchase them. This could be a very nice sign for some of these companies. So I want to show you guys a link here on Johnson & Johnson. They actually do make a hand sanitizer. It's out of stock on Walmart. So Johnson & Johnson is well positioned, I think, to benefit from the coronavirus outbreak because people need these products. I actually went out last night with a friend, and he was literally using hand sanitizer everywhere we went, constantly washing his hands to constantly keep them clean. So, hand sanitizer is definitely going to be a very popular product, and I even heard some rumors that they were trying to sell hand sanitizer for $50 a bottle on Amazon. Apparently, Amazon's shut down those shippers, but Johnson and Johnson, they do produce hand sanitizer. I'm going to show you guys some of the other products that Johnson and Johnson produces. So if you take a look at some of their self-care products, they sell Tylenol, Motrin, Zyrtex, Benadryl, Zarbee's. These are kind of all Sudafed, Pepsid. These are all kind of products that people are definitely going to be reaching to if they have some like flu type symptoms or something like that. And then they also sell essential health products as well. Listerine, Band-Aids is another huge one, Neosporin, and also, of course, is baby oil and things like that. So people are definitely going to be stocking up on these products if they have kids, just for their own personal use. And especially the stuff like hand sanitizer and things like that. Johnson and Johnson could actually see a boost in sales. We'll most likely see a nice boost in sales. So now I'm going to show you guys some of the recently quarterly numbers when they released their latest earnings report in January 22nd, 2020. Growth was flat last year. So as you can see, they had a full sales growth of $82 billion, reflecting about growth of a little less under 1%, which is not too surprising for a big company like Johnson and Johnson. But the one thing I like about Johnson and Johnson is that their slow and steady approach, even though earnings aren't going to be growing super fast like a company like Apple or Google, because this isn't a tech company. This is a slow, I think, and very steady company that's going to benefit from the coronavirus outbreak. This could be a time for people to realize how important these products are because when things it's nice to buy nice phones, and it's nice to buy things online, but when SHTF, don't cross on this channel, but basically when stuff gets crazy, people are going to be reaching for the bare essentials, and Johnson & Johnson is well positioned for that. So I want to show you guys some other things about Johnson & Johnson as well. I mentioned earlier the dividend on this company. And one of the things for you, a lot of you dividend growth investors out there, you guys are looking to build a portfolio of companies that will continue to increase the dividend. I think Johnson & Johnson is a great stock for you to own. So currently the dividend yield is at around 3% with an annualized payout of $3.80. The payout ratio is pretty low as well, only 42% of the earnings. So they have a lot of earnings to reinvest back in the company, and they've been increasing the dividend for 57 years. So guys, this is definitely a dividend stock that you guys can add to your portfolio. And I showed you guys earlier the long-term chart. The long-term chart for Johnson & Johnson is absolutely a spectacular chart. This looks like a stock that you want to buy and hold forever. They continue to sell products that people need, and they're going to continually be able to raise their prices over the long term. So these are just a win-win situation. We just pull up that chart right there. So guys, I think this is a stock with amazing long-term potential. As you can see here, if we were to draw a trend line, basically starting back in the 60s, is basically, with some dips and ebbs and flows. Even though there's been some dips or ebbs and flows, this stock has been on a long-term bullish trend simply because the type of products they sell are products that most of us cannot live without. And what I like about the company is that it's diversified. So they sell baby products and they sell adult products. So a lot of people, myself included, I'm pretty sure, my mom, when I was a baby, she was using Johnson & Johnson products like baby oil and stuff like that. And I still use Johnson & Johnson products today. So guys, when you're looking to invest in this type of investment, or you're just looking to add stocks to your dividend growth investing portfolio, I know a lot of you guys, they're all being able to live off the passive income of your dividends. Johnson is one of the key proponents that should be in your portfolio. So what am I personally going to do with Johnson & Johnson stock? Well, I plan to add some shares next week. I actually used to have a stake in Johnson & Johnson, and I actually sold it, but that was sometime last year. But I want to add this one to my IRA because I really think that the stock is going to benefit from this current market environment due to the coronavirus. And the more and more I read about Johnson & Johnson, even of myself personally, I go through my medicine cabinet and stuff like that, or other products that I see laying around the house, and I turn it over, I see Johnson and Johnson. So this is probably a product I've been spending money on for years. I wasn't even aware of it because they have so many different brands and things like Listerine and even buying Band-Aids. So guys, this is definitely a defensive stock out there. If you guys are worried about if you guys have owned like some high flying stocks like Tesla, you're down a lot. So if you're looking for something that's a bit more stable with pays a dividend and can kind of really benefit from these current market environments, I think Johnson& Johnson is a great fit for your portfolio. So I'm going to be making probably a follow-up video on this when I add some shares, see how many shares I can add to Johnson& Johnson to my IRA portfolio. I might pick up one or two, something like that. I like to slowly build a position. I don't like to buy all at once because I'm not exactly sure where this market's going to go. But so far, ever since Donald Trump came out, and it seemed like this big run up we had on earlier today, hopefully it kind of calmed people down a bit about the coronavirus fears. So that's it, guys, about Johnson& Johnson. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be covering more Dow Jones stocks and more stocks that I think can actually benefit from this coronavirus outbreak. My prayers are out to all you guys out there. I hope you, your family, and your friends and coworkers and everybody out there, you guys stay safe. Some of the advice of people saying make sure you keep your hands clean and try to avoid crowded places. So, guys, hang in there, and please, if you enjoyed this content, hit the like button. It really helps me, and smash the subscribe button as well if you're new to my channel for more featured videos. If you guys have any comments about stock buying opportunities for the coronavirus outbreak, or any other companies that you think are going to do well, just leave them in the comments below. And if your comment's good enough or I enjoy it, I'll try to make a follow-up video answering your comments specifically. And guys, even if I don't make a video on your comment, I read all of your comments, guys. I really appreciate all the support and the help that you've given me. The growth of this channel over the last couple months has been phenomenal, and I'm just so excited to see where I can take this even further in 2020. And even though we're dealing with some really stressful and tumultuous times, I just hope that we put this past us, and this ends up just being another virus outbreak in the history books like SARS, E. coli, bird flu, all of those things. So that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and take care.